Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Green Disruptors, the podcast where we explore the innovators turning today's environmental challenges into tomorrow's scalable climate solutions. I'm your host, Megan Kjar, and today I'm joined by Dave Wells, the VP at NLINE Energy, a company revolutionizing how we think about thermal energy recovery. With nearly 30 years in the energy industry, Dave has helped drive change from major utilities to successful energy startups. Now with NLINE, he's helping transform wasted steam pressure into renewable electricity, delivering millions of kilowatt hours back to businesses without burning a single additional fuel source. Today we get into how this technology works, who it's built for, and why Dave believes that this is an untapped no-brainer for energy incentive industries. Let's dive in. Hi Dave, welcome to Green Disruptors.
Hey Megan, how are you? Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. We were just, I had a head cold, and so I hope I sound normal-ish. But tell everybody where you are in the world.
So I'm calling in. I live just south of Boston, probably about a half hour south of the city, town called West Bridgewater, Massachusetts.
Are you a long-time resident or have you moved around?
I am. I have not made it very far. I grew up actually one town over, and just kind of made this our home. We'll see what happens going forward. My kids are grown now, and at least one of them has moved out. The other one hasn't yet, but probably will be up for a change sometime soon. Probably won't leave the state, but we'll see. It'll be something new, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that goes to show you probably had a good upbringing. I live in the same zip code I was raised in. Not intentional. It kind of happened by a fluke, but I'm like, well, I love it here. So
Yeah, well, we
anyway,
have something sort of in common.
yeah. Yeah, well, it is. There's something special about your connection to land, which, probably is one of the reasons I like to work in sustainability. But tell us a little bit more about your history and then how it applies to NLINE Energy.
Sure. So I've spent my entire career, which is, oh boy, coming up on 30 years now. It goes by fast within the energy industry. I actually started my career with National Grid and worked there for about 13 years. Few different roles, engineer, account executive, working with customers, trying to help support their energy efficiency needs and other changes that were happening in the market. And then in 2005, made my first leap to an energy startup, actually called EnerNOC, you might be familiar with, and had a good, successful 8-year run there and really kind of got a thirst for, startups within the energy space. And
It didn't
I've worked
scare
in
you
a
away,
number
it
of
lit the
different
fire
roles,
instead.
but when you start out and hit a home run the first time, you kind of get hungry for more. And I'm really excited about what we're doing here at NLINE Energy. Actually, the person who started NLINE was a colleague of mine at EnerNOC. So excited to join his
Uh-huh.
team, and work with him and really kind of revolutionize what we call thermal energy recovery.
All right, so let's get into that a little more. So how long have you been with NLINE and how long have they been going?
So I started with NLINE back in February of this year, 2025. NLINE has actually been around since about 2010. We were originally focused on energy recovery and hydro and water distribution systems. Matt had identified an opportunity he was touring a pressure reduction station with a water district out in California and basically uncovered an opportunity to use turbines to provide a pressure drop to help support their distribution system rather than using valves, which is what they had been using in the past. So a lot of research, a lot of engineering. He came up with an idea to use that, basically design a turbine that could fit within the water piping that they have at that pressure reduction station, and then use that pressure drop and the flow of the water through the turbine to generate electricity. And that's kind of where he came up with the name. Instead of inline, it was NLINE Energy. So that's kind of where the name came from.
Okay, yeah.
And then about 4 years ago, he was presenting at a conference in California and connected with some folks from Southern Cal Gas that at the time were promoting a lot of, or had a lot of customers that had boilers, and they were trying to find new ways to help them be more efficient and just how they use energy, how they use electricity, and how they meet their sustainability goals. And after a little more research, found a company who had designed a very efficient turbine that we then, after some efforts and some fundraising, agreed to acquire the IP for, so which we
Mm,
now own
yep.
the IP for the turbine that we use in our micro steam turbine and support the existing customers that that company had enrolled and are looking to add new customers, on the thermal side to help support their energy and sustainability goals as well.
Okay, so make sure I understand this. So the original offer was maybe a little more niche, but when you added this new micro turbine, right? Uh, then you can basically service anybody who uses a boiler.
So yeah, so the original customers were hydro, water distribution companies, and,
Right.
and we still have
Like
an active
municipalities mostly.
role in that business today, mostly municipalities. That was kind of how we got started. And after 4 years, when we identified this opportunity with high pressure steam systems, we've basically kind of put a lot more effort into developing that product and commercializing it, and really see a much larger opportunity there because there's just so many more boilers and high pressure steam systems across the US, North America, and internationally, really, that could take advantage of a technology like ours.
Yeah. Is this technology similar or different to like CHP, combined heat and power?
So it in some ways it kind of falls into the same category.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of the big differences is that we're not burning any fuel. In high pressure steam systems, where the boiler is generating steam at say 100, 200, 300, even 5 or 600 psi. Somewhere within that distribution system, they most likely have a need for lower steam at a lower pressure as well. So they'll use what they call a pressure reduction valve or a PRV for short. And it basically, it doesn't, the PRV doesn't necessarily use energy, but it's a wasted opportunity to generate electricity because it's really just kind of, it's blowing off, some noise and some heat to lower the pressure to a more usable level somewhere downstream in their distribution system. So we've, really kind of uncovered some significant opportunities to, instead of using that PRV, which we leave in place, basically bypass the steam from the PRV through our micro steam turbine, and then use that pressure drop in the same pressure flow as an opportunity to generate, really kind of up to 2 million kilowatt hours or even more for the customer per year to really have a significant impact on their energy costs and their sustainability goals.
Yeah, for people that don't speak energy numbers as much, like do you have like 200 kilowatts? Can you give us like a picture of how much that actually is?
Um, it's so, our flagship unit is a 275 kW turbine. That can generate about 2 million kilowatt hours per year. A typical household, a larger home might use, I'll say close to around 10,000 kilowatt hours per year. So if that's some perspective, our turbine is generating in excess of 2 million kilowatt hours per year, which can have a significant impact. And depending on their energy costs, we're able to save them, anywhere from about close to $200,000 to, even upwards of $400,000 per year in their total energy costs.
So I imagine that investment can start paying them back pretty quickly.
Yes,
Then,
yes,
yeah,
yes. If their
that's
rates
what we
are
love
on the
to hear.
higher end, like here in Massachusetts, where
Hmm.
electric rates are pretty high, the savings that they receive are pretty significant. And those are, that's energy that they don't need to purchase in the future. So once the turbine is up and running, there's an immediate reduction in the amount of energy that they need to buy from the grid.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about what this expansion of services is looking like at the current moment.
When I came on board here at NLINE, and as I've learned more about like their efforts and what they're doing, I've been me personally have been very bullish about the opportunity that we have here. When Katie Bickford was our chief customer officer was interviewing me, and her and I had worked together before. But my first question was, how fast can you make these? Because I really think that there's a significant opportunity out there for us to help customers with their energy costs. And if you have an incandescent light bulb in your house, you're like, well, I should change that out. It's just something that I should do. Likewise, I've always kind of had this belief that if you have like if you're a commercial property and you have a large flat roof that can support solar panels, it just makes sense. It's just something that you should do because you have the roof space. It's not going to impact your facility, and you're going to get electricity generated on site for years to come. Likewise, here, if you have high pressure steam and you have these pressure reduction valves installed in your facility, it's really a wasted opportunity, that you can now take advantage of to generate clean, renewable electricity and, continue to have a major impact on your sustainability goals.
Yeah. So with that ambition to be bullish about it, which respect, I mean, yeah, we're already behind. So it's like a solution that makes so much sense. You should be bullish about it. But so what's the go-to-market strategy with getting in touch with the right customers? And clearly
Yep.
the value proposition is there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the challenge, when we acquired the IP from the company that had originally designed this, I think, to their credit, they were a group of some amazing engineers that had designed a great product. And now our focus is really around building a team that can really kind of build out and enhance a go-to-market strategy to help more customers become aware of what's available. I think really it's awareness. There's just a lack of awareness of not just like what our micro steam turbine can do, but the size, which I think will be important for them as well. Most customers, if they've looked at steam generators or back pressure steam generation in the past, these are much larger units. They take up, the size, they can take up the size of like a small room and are a lot more
Mm-hmm.
difficult to maintain. I am not a steam expert. I have more experience in the energy background, but they're also difficult to maintain. They're a little finicky with the type of steam that they need to run on. And our micro steam turbine really kind of answers a lot of those challenges. Number one being it can run on saturated or superheated steam, whereas most back pressure turbines do require superheated steam, which is a little more difficult for them to produce. Requires a lot less maintenance than a typical turbine would, which is important. And then the size I think is important because our unit, the turbine and the generator and the unit that it comes in, the skid that it comes installed in are all designed to fit through a standard door that you might have going into a boiler room. So it's really designed for retrofit applications, so that you can easily move this into a good location where you can install it, bypass the pressure reduction valve, not take up a lot of space, and obviously you have all the other benefits, with maintenance, size, kind of you name it. It really kind of checks a lot of boxes to help these customers with meeting their energy and sustainability goals.
Yeah. And to me, that says ding, 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 scalability, like just
Exactly.
making it easier to install. So, are you able to do projects all across the country? Like, I guess, are there limitations at the moment?
We actually have units installed across the country from coast to coast. A lot of our efforts today are in areas where energy prices are higher. But you also have markets like Texas where, rates
They're
are
just gung
lower.
ho. Yeah.
But they're also rising faster than a lot of other markets, which is one point. But then, there's more of a resiliency play in that market as well. I mean, The
Absolutely.
blackouts that they've had over the last couple of years are still fresh in a lot of people's minds. And you know, we're not going to solve all of the challenges with the amount of capacity they need, especially with, the growth that they're going to probably see with data centers and AI, that's happening in other states as well. But every little bit helps, and this is one significant impact that, you know, although relatively small in a large plant, can still, when you combine all the opportunities that exist within a given state, there's a big impact that we could have on just capacity on the grid and trying to maintain and manage energy costs and, maintain reliability in the entire system.
Yeah. So I'm curious as far as general awareness, like the fact that there is such a large group of customers that you could work with. How are you finding anything in needing to differentiate the messaging when you're talking to, say, like a hotel versus a like industrial plant or whatever it is?
Um, you know, I'll start with a lot of hotels probably don't qualify because they don't have the high pressure steam and the pressure reduction that we need. I do think that there are some hotels that could qualify. The, some hotels that might be supply, they might be getting their steam from a district energy
Mm, yeah.
association, or we have one here in Boston. There's a big one in New York, and they're in numerous other places across the country. So I think there is an opportunity there. Um, but it's really finding entities that have, enough high pressure steam, that they're using, in most cases year round, at least at some level, to justify, there is a cost and an investment that they need to make. But we can help them identify, obviously what the cost would be, but also how much electricity we'll be able to generate over a given year, just really kind of based on their historic steam usage, and information that they can provide us.
Okay, so I guess to clarify what I was trying to ask that I didn't ask well was like, are you casting a wide net or are you going really ultra specific?
Um, Probably more specific to potential clients that we know are going to be a good fit. And there's several industries that are good targets for us. A lot of hospitals are using high pressure steam. Not all of the facilities, but a lot of them do. And we've installed our microsteam turbine at a few locations already. We actually won an award through the International District Energy Association for a project that we implemented at Hershey Medical, which is part of Penn State. So we're pretty excited about that. We have a unit that was installed years ago at Cooley Dickinson, which is part of the Mass General Brigham Hospital Organization. And we're in conversations with a number of other hospital groups as well. We've had a lot of success with universities and have some pretty good sized projects, installed at the University of Idaho, and a few others, and others that are kind of coming that are kind of in the works. And then we've had a lot of success with other manufacturing industries that use high pressure steam. We've had a lot of success in the lumber industry and then also paper industry as well. And, there are a number of others, that have sites that are using high pressure steam that would be a good fit for, what we're doing in the micro steam turbine to help, you know, again, still deliver that pressure drop that they need, but use it to generate electricity.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, those sound like really good segments to go after. As a
Yeah.
marketer, I'm like, oh, those sound easy. But like,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
there's big lists of who those contacts are and all that, so that's great. So, I guess where do you hope to be maybe like this time next year as far as growth goes?
Boy, we've set some specific numbers for this year and for next year. I think we're pretty excited about our chances of getting there. We have about 50 microsteam turbines installed to date, but some of those were installed years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But our goal, I think, is to really kind of accelerate the growth here and, you know, try to get some significant increases in revenue over time as we do that.
Yeah. So instead of 50 total, like let's get 50 per month.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would be great, right? That's always
Hmm.
kind of my goal. I like to reach for the stars and,
Yeah.
hit it as hard as I can. That's always been something that I really try to focus on. It just, when customers learn about this for the first time, I think in a lot of cases they're like, you know, I don't know if there's like disbelief, but
Too good to be true
I think
ism.
maybe they wonder like why they weren't aware of this before, or, might think
Mm.
that it's too good to be true. Not every site is a good fit, so there is some work that we need to put into, understand what their steam load is and their steam flow over the course of the year and what the pressure drop is and finding a site that we can install it. We haven't been stumped yet. With every customer that had a good fit, we were able to find a location where we could install the turbine. But there's always that one challenge that might exist out there. But if they have the steam and they have pressure drop existing within their facility, it's to me anyway, it's just something that that they should all be doing. Which leads to a pretty significant market size for us to try to take advantage of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, any good offer is a no-brainer when the business takes a look at the numbers, and it sounds like you guys are dialed in. So,
Yeah.
um, if there is an interested business listening, what's the first step in like, are they able to set up a consultation or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's just reaching out for, and just to have a quick phone call. We have, I'm kind of helping support a lot of our sales efforts. And then we have three other VPs that are helping to support that across the country and here in the United States. Our CEO has done some work internationally as well over in Europe. Some of our investors are based out of Europe, so they've been working hard to, you know, get to
With
a
their
point where we can
existing
start
networks
to
and
build some momentum there. But there's just so much opportunity here in the United States and
yeah.
North America that we're really focusing a lot of our effort here. But they can certainly reach out to us. They can get information from our website and just set up a call. And it's just really kind of talking through, the turbine, the benefits, and the specifics of their site, and finding a good fit, and then finding a way to get the project to move forward.
Okay. Awesome. Well, this is exciting. This was something, I mean, I am aware of solutions kind of adjacent, but I've never heard of this one specifically. And that's a great corner of the market to be in. So, congrats for spearheading this big forward push with them. And it
Yeah.
was great talking to you.
Yeah. No, same here, Megan. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing me on.
of course. All right. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to this episode of Green Disruptors Scaling the Future. A huge thanks to Dave Wells for sharing how NLINE Energy is converting overlooked pressure drops into real energy savings and doing it in a way that's scalable, practical, and already making an impact across sectors like healthcare, universities, lumber, and manufacturing. If your facility uses high pressure steam, this might just be one of the most compelling sustainability and cost cutting opportunities that you haven't explored yet. To learn more or to see if it's a good fit, visit NLINE Energy, so that's the letter N and then LINE, online, and connect with Dave on LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who's working in industrial sustainability, and of course, leave us a review. This podcast was brought to you by Mountaintop Social Marketing, your growth partner in scaling climate solutions. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries and building the cleaner future we all deserve.